Hey everybody, I'm Chris Fafalius, and I'm the producer of Krista Makes a Podcast and the host of the One Hit Thunder podcast.
And I'm Matt Kelly, host of Horror Movie Night and the producer / the head of content for the Geekscape Podcasting Network.
Between the two of us, we have, believe it or not, 25 years of podcasting experience, and we want to help you start your own podcast.
We know podcasting, and we want to share that knowledge with you.
So whether you're new to podcasting or you want some feedback on your currently active podcast, we want to help.
Or perhaps you're just overwhelmed with all of the editing work. Well, we can help you with that also.
You can contact us at info@weknowpodcasting.com for more information.
We're excited to help your podcasting dreams become a reality.
Well, there's a party each and every year on Christmas Eve, where the fun and cocktail shrimp don't seem to end. Clark and Ralphie taking turns on the TV screen, laughing, singing, yelling with all of our friends. Well, it's Christmas, and let the parties go spread the holiday cheer. 'Cause it's Christmas. Oh, it's the best time of the year. Let's go fake reindeer again.
Hey, Dylan.
Hey, Matt.
Fighting the Frizzles at 11.
Oh, my God. Fighting the Frizzies, my
Frizzies.
friends. The Frizzies at
the
11.
Frizzies at 11.
Which is a reference to the Star Wars.
Star Wars, it's
Holiday
specifically
special,
the
right?
Star Wars bootleg.
Yeah.
Because, like, whoever taped the bootleg copy that circulated
Kept
kept a couple commercials in it.
newscasts,
Yeah. And I pulled up the original newscast and it's like, man, perfect. But that's that alone, like, it's so funny because I think that we're so tied now into modern day South Park
Yeah.
where, like, you forget how insane and punk rock the first, like, 5 seasons of that show were.
And I don't want to sit here and say, oh, so good, because I am of the opinion that this show got better as
No,
it got
it
older.
absolutely did. It improved in its writing and its storytelling.
Yeah.
But Dylan, you had us watch season 3, episode 13, Mr. Hankey's Christmas Classics.
Yes.
Which I haven't thought about this specific special in a really, really long time because for me, it's always just about the album.
Yeah.
I forgot that there was even an episode sometimes that basically was just made to promote the album.
Yeah. So, little peek behind the curtain. Matt is still sitting right across from me. I can see him in my living room. And basically he's like, hey, what are some things that you want to talk about while I'm in town? And I'm like, number one is Mr. Hankey's Christmas Classics. And he goes, the album or the show? And I'm like, yes. I want to talk about both of them. Because what's cool is there are some songs on the album that aren't in the episode, and there's some songs in the episode that aren't on the album. And it's like you just said, the album has been a part of my Christmas playlist for years, for like a decade. But I don't always revisit the episode.
So my South Park viewing was so weird. Because I don't know about you, but I was like in one of those families where they were constantly canceling and then deciding to get back cable like all the time. Like that was like a thing in my house all the time. We'd be like, oh, we need to cut some expenses. Let's cancel the cable for a year.
Yeah.
So I remember I was in the cafeteria. It was middle school. I was in the cafeteria and all these kids were talking about South Park. And I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
And they were like, yo, Friday night, they're going to play all 6 episodes at midnight.
Yeah.
So I set the VCR and like, first of all, it was funny because I had in my mind what I thought the characters looked like. I had no reference point.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'm sure they kind of look like this. I was nowhere close to like what I was thinking of. But I started watching the show and like I watched those 6 episodes probably 100 times that year. Like I took that tape everywhere. I showed it to everybody. I'm like, you have to watch this. This is amazing. And then my parents canceled cable before, like, I think the last episode I saw was the original Mr. Hankey episode.
Okay, yeah.
And then they canceled cable and I was just like disconnected from South Park.
Yeah.
So like I almost grew to hate it because 2 things. I didn't have it to watch.
Yeah, you couldn't enjoy it.
And I started getting into like going to the church and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, that's bad.
Gross.
Gross. That's poop jokes.
Yeah.
So I was like kind of anti South Park. And then every time we had cable back, it was like, oh, I got to watch South Park. Like,
Yeah.
It's like I knew that it was good. And then it was in high school, actually. my first real girlfriend. I was a junior in high school. She was a freshman in college.
Yeah.
And it's insane to think about now as I look at it as an adult. But my parents were totally content that she would come and sleep over our house for a weekend, and then I would either take the train to Philadelphia and spend a weekend at her dorm,
Yeah.
or I would go to her dorm and she would drive me to New Jersey where she lived, and we would stay with her parents for a weekend.
Ooh.
But she was a huge South Park fan.
Yeah.
And she was like, "You've never seen the South Park movie?" And she sat me down and we watched the South Park movie, and that was like watching that movie, I was like, I miss South Park so much.
Yeah.
And like that became like, now I have to watch it again.
Yeah.
And that's been kind of the case for, like, I'll dip in and out, but every time that the new season comes out on DVD, I buy it. And that's usually how I'll watch it the first time if I don't watch it live on TV. But yeah, but these years, I think because these years I didn't obsessively watch the way that probably everybody who was in like middle school and high school did, there's something so charming about them.
Old South Park.
Because it's very, like I said, it's very punk rock.
It is.
It's very like, we're going to make a reference to something that no one that's watching is going to get.
Yeah.
And we're going to make it over and over and over again. And for a whole new generation of kids, they're only going to think of South Park when they
hear
think
this.
fighting the Frizzies,
Fighting the Frizzies at 11.
But like, to like a certain demographic, they're like, this is hysterical that they keep making this stupid reference.
Yeah. South Park to me is, I can honestly say it's the one show that I have religiously watched for the past 2 decades.
Yeah.
Like 100%. I've seen every episode multiple times. I definitely prefer newer South Park. I like when the writing got better. It didn't rely so much on the shock.
So let me
humor.
ask you a question, though.
Yeah.
Because as someone who's been watching it DVD to DVD, I do think that the writing has gotten better, but I do dislike the serialization that they've been doing the last couple of years.
Recently, and I think that's even touched on in one of the episodes, like
Yeah.
the death of serialization.
Yeah, and it's
As a whole.
not even like I love serialized TV.
Yeah.
Like I love it. But I feel like that's not what South Park was ever about.
South Park was very self-contained 20-minute episode. What are we dealing with this week?
Yeah,
What
like you literally
crazy
have a show
shenanigans.
where like a character dies every single episode for like 15 years, and now suddenly you're trying to tell a serialized story. It's like, like it just
And they did that before, not in the most recent years, but where they take like a chunk where like these 2 or 3 episodes are going to be
tied together.
serialized,
Yeah,
like Imagination Land, or
Yeah,
when they
yeah.
did the Game of Thrones reference with Black Friday.
yeah.
But yeah, in the more recent years, specifically like the last season and the season before, it has been very serialized with Mr. Garrison running for president,
Yeah.
or Randy Marsh with his Tegrity Farms.
Yeah. And they're great episodes. It's just
Yeah.
very weird. Like, it's weird to think of South Park as a show where if I like walk away,
If I miss an episode, I'm not going to know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
what's
like
happening.
it's like that's not what South Park was ever about. Like it was that thing where it's like I'm just going to pop in like a random DVD and just hit play
episode
and
and play.
enjoy like 6 episodes out of context.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, and I like the early episodes. I like the punk rock atmosphere, even the animation.
It's so lo-fi.
Yeah, and I like that to a certain extent, but I prefer the not the newest seasons, but as the animation got better.
Yeah, the animation got better. It stopped being as gross out. It started to be like, but there's things in this that we'll talk about, but there's definitely like those, the biggest one for me was the O Tannenbaum into Christmas Time in Hell. I'm like, I don't think modern day South Park would do something as insane as this.
I don't know, especially like the references to Princess Diana being in hell and stuff like that.
That's what I mean. Like that was very much like there is something charming about that we're going to offend everybody. Like, and they still have that in the sense of like South Park has that thing where there is no political correct because they have insulted every single person equally.
Yeah.
And in a weird way that becomes inclusion.
Exactly.
That attitude back then, that was just like
there was no fucks.
There was no fucks. It was like, we're going to take a picture of Adolf Hitler and we're going to have him sobbing about him not having his Tannenbaum.
Yeah.
And we're going to also cut it with animated footage of young Hitler mixed with real footage from World War
Yeah.
II. And it's like, this is so ballsy
And
and,
you know
so
what?
mean-spirited and so offensive.
The O Tannenbaum and Christmas Time in Hell together, baller song.
It's great. It's
such a good jam.
I would say my favorite song in the show, not my favorite song in the album, and we'll get into that when
Okay,
we
yes.
move into the album.
Yes.
But-
All right. So let's talk about this. For those of you listening, we're not talking about the first appearance of Mr. Hankey, which we will eventually
we
talk about in
absolutely
the
will
future
have to.
episode. Because Mr. Hankey, to me, maybe not with the current generation, but with like mine and yours, Mr. Hankey to me is synonymous with Christmas.
Oh, 100%.
Because of how much you said this the other day. The overabundance of South Park Christmas episodes.
Yeah,
Like,
there's so many.
so many
There's
of them.
so many. And it's kind of...
As I sit here, I'm holding a South Park Christmas DVD, and this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 episodes, and the DVD came out in 2004, so
Yeah.
already 7 Christmas episodes.
That's insanity.
And we haven't even like touched on 16 years past that.
But like the other things that are crazy about that to me is like, I do get the vibe from Trey and Matt Stone that they love Christmas.
Yeah, it's
There's
kind of like what we were talking about with our
community. Yeah. Like,
yeah.
because there is like a weird, like there are moments of true, genuine heart in the
Yeah.
Christmas episodes.
Always. It stands one for having a Christmas adventure, like the joy of Christmas. Mr. Hankey represents that, like
Yeah.
the joy of Christmas. And you know what? I absolutely love the show. It's for those of you that might not understand, I have like safe shows
Yeah.
to me. Like Matt and I, no secret, both of us are very emotional people.
Oh, yeah.
I have safe shows. South Park is one of them where like I just put this on and it makes me happy.
So the phrase that I always use, and I got it from Joe of Fright School, but he calls them warm blanket shows.
Oh, I like
Like
that.
they're the shows that's like, because he's like, Gilmore Girls is a warm blanket show.
Yeah.
You go in, there's low stakes
Yeah.
in the drama, and you just feel like you need to wrap up in a blanket with a
Yep.
cup of hot cocoa and just enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah, South Park, as absurd as it can be, is one of those shows for me.
Oh, I look forward to when it's like, I'll always, if I dog sit for people, sometimes like I'll dog/house sit for people. I always bring a couple seasons of South Park because
Yeah.
it's like, I know I'm going to just have to lay on a couch for a couple hours, and there is nothing that is going to make me feel more comfortable on that couch than just watching some South Park
I need
episodes.
to do that. I need to go pick up the physical seasons because right now it's jumped from Hulu to HBO Max.
It's
and
gonna. Here's the thing. Here's
Yeah.
the thing. And I mean, I'm looking at your lovely wall, so I know
Yes.
that you get this. I get so much shit about my love of physical media.
Yeah.
But you know what? As I posted over 100 movies that I had watched this Christmas,
Yeah.
I got so many messages from people like, "Oh, where can I watch
can I
that?"
watch this?
Huh?
Yeah.
Guess what? You can't. You got to buy the DVD like an actual fan.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, like you said, you agree with, I agree with that as I'm staring at my 2 huge shelves of physical media, both VHS, DVD, and Blu-ray. My TV shows are in the top left-hand corner. Yeah. So it's all separated,
Yeah.
but at the same time is I bounce back and forth.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
It's too much of a headache. I
Exactly.
get so frustrated when I'm like, oh, I want to show someone this thing. Let me go. Like with South Park, I was like, I got the DVD downstairs, but it's probably streaming somewhere. And then like Googling like South Park streaming and seeing like, well, you could go to HBO Max or
Yeah.
like you could pay $3.99 on Amazon. Or
if
you
you want to
could
watch it on the computer, it's southparkstudios.com. If
Yeah.
you want to watch it on an app, you got to go to HBO Max. And like HBO Max, as much as I love it, like they're putting out content left and right, and the next year is going to be absolutely insane with Warner Brothers releasing all their stuff. It is not that easy to navigate and to get yourself set up.
Well, that was, I think it was the Flophouse, one of my favorite movie review podcasts.
Yeah.
They did a bit where they're like, do you like having every TV show that you've ever wanted streaming, but absolutely no ability to search for them like a normal human being? Try Hulu.
Yes,
Like,
it's true.
Hulu
It's true.
is so obnoxious when you're trying to search for
Yeah.
like a specific thing where it's like all of them have problems.
And I don't understand, like, certain streaming services will be working while there will be issues. Like Netflix, for me, never down at all.
Yeah.
Hulu, will be
regularly.
stuttering, buffering. Like, I mean, it's constantly.
The other big thing that I would love to see become more of the norm. We already talked about this in an episode that'll come out later about like serialized like weekly drops.
Yeah.
But I love that Shudder has a live television option.
Me too.
And it's like, Disney, what are you doing? Disney
Yeah.
Plus should absolutely have,
Yeah.
especially because they also do their scheduled, like, hey, on Fridays, these shows come out.
Yeah.
It's like, well, similarly to how the WWE network works or how Shudder works, why not instead of just at midnight on Friday, all of these shows are available, you say, Mandalorian premieres on our television streaming at 7 p.m. on Friday. And then it'll be available to stream right at 8 o'clock after that live premiere. That, like, I don't know, because sometimes, especially like during this last year where we've all been kind of trapped inside, I don't want to sit around and make a decision.
Yeah.
I'm much happier just turning on Shudder and be like, let the television that they've already programmed decide what I'm going to watch for the next hour. Oh, Texas Chainsaw Massacre is on? Perfect. I'm just going to sit here and watch it.
That happened over the pandemic multiple times where I went to bed watching Joe Bob on my computer whatever night that was. And I woke up in the morning and you're like, you know what? I don't feel like getting out of bed yet. Let me pop on Shudder. And it was Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And I'm like, I'm going to just lay here and watch this.
Yeah, works for me. But yeah, so South Park.
Yes, South Park,
like,
Mr.
does
Hankey.
represent all of that to me. It represents that comfort. I get what you mean. Like, it's that warm blanket. It's that safe show. It's just because it's so familiar. And unlike, I do feel that with The Simpsons, but it's like very specific seasons of The Simpsons. Versus South Park has easily the most consistency of a long-running television show.
And honestly, it's translated to the newer games as well.
Yeah.
Like, if I want to feel like just that. The 2 new games that have come out, The Stick of Truth and The Fractured Butthole, they're just big episodes of South Park. They're just like huge episodes of South Park, and I love playing them.
And I love, so South Park also has this really cool thing where they come up with like a vernacular that exists throughout every character. All of the characters talk very similarly. And the example that I have for this is like Mr. Hankey, who is this never-ending just piece of poop that's filled with Christmas joy. I always think of him just screaming Santa Claus is on the way in the bathroom the first time you see him. But, you know, he opens up where he's like, we're going to do something a little different this year. And if you don't like it, you can suck my tiny little balls. like, it's just like little stuff like that. It's so fucking funny.
Yeah. I mean, there's just little things where, like, there's an episode, basically, Santa has to go and deliver Christmas to terrorists.
Yeah.
And I love when Mr. Hankey sees Jesus and he just goes, hi-ho, Jesus. I'm like, like, it's little stuff like that, like this little piece of poop.
And like, I love that South Park has Jesus in it. And like, you can never totally tell if it's actually Jesus or like a TV show
Just a guy?
personality.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like, you're just like, yeah, that's Jesus.
Yeah.
I mean,
Behold, my children, I'm packing. And like, rips out the machine guns. I know we're not talking about that episode, but that's up
trust
there.
me, there's a lot of
Oh
South
my
Park
God.
episodes we'll discuss over the years. One of the other things that's funny is like, they do Carol the Bells in this.
Yes.
And they sing all of the real words except for one change, but I don't know what the actual lyric is because of this, I always say ding dong okay, because I just think that that's the actual lyric.
Oh my God.
Yeah, what is the real lyric there? Because the rest of it's right? Hark, hear the bells, sweet silver bells, all seem to say.
Ding dong. Okay.
It's like,
Okay.
I'm looking it up. I need to look it up.
You got to look it up. All right. So while you're looking it up, I'll describe the actual episode. All right. So it's set up like an old school Christmas variety show. Every character has different songs. And what they did was this album was coming out, the Mr. Hankey's Christmas Classics album. And basically what they did was, you know what? We're going to dedicate an entire 20, 30-minute episode to advertising for this Christmas Classics album. So basically they took it and they added animations to the songs. And honestly, what I want to do, Matt, is kind of go through each of these songs. It may take us a little bit, but I would love to just give a note on each of these songs as we go through.
I think that's fair. Let's talk about 2 real quick things that aren't on the album, and then beyond that, I think we should be fine.
Just go back to the album.
Just
stick to the album.
Yeah, and then
Okay.
just stick to the album. Because
Okay.
we already talked about before we hit record, there's the Jesus and Santa sing off, which didn't make it onto the record.
It did not make it onto the record, and honestly, and it bums me out because between the record and the episode, the Jesus Santa melody, the sing off between the two, is my favorite part.
For sure.
It's 100% my favorite part. So what's happening is Jesus and Santa are performing a medley together at a bar, and they're each singing the different songs about themselves. Jesus is joy to the world, and Santa's like sings Up on the Rooftop.
Yeah.
So he's like, up on the housetop, reindeer fall, out comes little old me.
Yeah.
So they're each referencing themselves in their song, and it basically Santa gets super frustrated because I believe he says, well, there's thousands of Jesus Christmas songs and only one fucking Santa one.
Yeah. Which is also like not even
Not
remote.
true. Not even close. But Santa cannot think of anything. So he breaks out into Rio.
Yeah, which is a great jam.
A great jam.
But that caused a lot of issues for putting the song on the
Jesus is
CD.
like, that's not a Christmas song. And that's when Santa loses his mind. He's like, well, there's 1,000 Jesus ones. Only one fucking Santa one.
It is a really funny thing that would have carried through on the CD. It's a bummer that that Rio thing came up.
I love their rendition of Let It Snow.
Yeah.
I love when Jesus is like, hey, Santa. And he's like, what? He's like, the weather outside is frightful. And he's like, oh.
Also for it's Throw Cares Away.
Oh, okay.
Ding Dong K is better, actually.
Okay, yeah. Ding dong K.
Yeah, like all the bells seem to say Throw Cares Away. No. Ding Dong K. And you know what? Actually, the other thing I want to talk about, I will save for when we talk about the song on the album.
Okay,
so
we'll talk about
let's
the
dive
song
into
on
the album.
Okay, so that is the only song that's only in the special. The rest of the special is animated bits of the album.
Yeah, so it makes sense to just cover the album, and
Yeah.
if we want to discuss parts of that animated segment, we can.
So we kick off with Mr. Hankey the Christmas Pooh.
Love this song. Love the animation of like the South Park version of a stop motion.
Yep. Yeah.
Mailman is
Yeah.
like super funny, and there's just it's so gross. It's
It is.
so gross.
It is
It's
such
so
a
funny.
gross song, and the animation is disgusting too. As Mr. Hankey's hopping his way around people's faces and in their mouths and everything else. So the animation's gross, and I always
Sometimes
I love,
he's nutty. Sometimes he's firm. Sometimes he's practically water.
He can be brown or greenish brown, and then we get the tangent about dingleberries. in
Yeah.
that as well.
Sometimes he hangs off the roof of your ass and you can't fall in the toilet. So he's just clicking
Cling
to your sphincter. And you shook your ass around a bunch and then he falls in the toilet and then he finally does.
Mr. Hankey, the Christmas
It's so
Pooh.
good. It's such
it
a
is
jolly
good, and
song.
you can put that song on, and 90% of this album is on my Christmas playlist. And that song will come on, and if people are sitting with me, they'll be like, oh, this is whimsical. And it'll get to that point, and they're like, what the fuck?
I would love. So, I mean, there's been some really cool things that you've seen this year, decoration wise. I saw like people are getting more and more into the like tune your radio to this specific.
Yeah.
Dude, if you can do a cool ass light show and include the Mr. Hankey theme in there,
That would be awesome.
That's my 2021 message to listeners.
So
Someone do
there's
that.
There's a house about 20 minutes from here that does that, but they incorporated, and we're not going to talk about this song yet, but it's in this, Cartman's Oh Holy Night.
Beautiful.
So they incorporated
Beautiful.
that into their light show.
All right, so what kind of, I'm trying to remember what's the next song after.
So the next song is Mr. Garrison's Merry Fucking Christmas.
Oh god, it's so offensive and mean spirited.
So offensive and mean-spirited, but yet not the most offensive and mean-spirited song on this album quite
no,
yet.
that one has appropriately titled to let you know.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, so I think that as much as I enjoy this song, I do think that it's a really big representation of like this stuff that South Park has smartly moved past at the same time in their
Kinda.
writing.
Yeah.
But it also like it was so funny because as I'm watching it, I'm like, man, even back then, it totally makes sense for Mr. Garrison to become like the Donald Trump character.
yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
very like it's so crazy that like in season 3 there was already kind of that attitude in there.
Mhm. And it even happens in later Christmas episodes where
Yeah.
he's like, what can we do to save Kyle's brother? He said, again, this is a Mr. Garrison quote.
Yeah.
He goes, get rid of all the Mexicans? No, Mr. Garrison, we cannot get rid of all the Mexicans. Every year you suggest that. So yeah, I mean, those seeds were definitely planted.
They were planted so long. But yeah, I mean, the best part is just the music. The music behind him during Merry
Yeah.
fucking Christmas is so funny.
Yeah, and I love how just excited he is as he's singing the song. And it reminded me of a huge bit of the first like 3 or 4 seasons, Mr. Hat.
Yeah. Mr. Hat's long
Mr.
gone.
Hat used to horrify me.
Really?
As a kid. Yeah, because there's one episode, I think it's in season 1, where Mr. Hat becomes like sentient. Like, like he's like forcing Mr. Garrison to almost kill people at some point.
I did. I miss Mr. Hat.
I do miss Mr. Hat. Mr. Garrison's changed a lot.
He's
over the
changed.
years.
He's
So
probably
we
had the most changes out of any
we've
character.
had Mr. Hat,
Mr. Slave.
Mr. Slave, and then he had a sex change,
Yeah.
and
Then he got it changed
then
back.
he went back, and now he's Donald Trump.
Yeah.
The evolution of Mr. Garrison is something that will have to be touched
Yeah.
on.
Meanwhile, Cartman, Kyle, and Stan are just basically the exact same people.
Yeah, I think one year they went from 3rd to 4th grade.
Yeah. And then Kenny like doesn't die every time now. That's like his
No.
big character growth.
But I do like that they still include it in some episodes. Like, did
Yeah.
you watch the pandemic special?
Not yet.
Oh, so good. And spoiler alert, Kenny does die.
No.
Highly recommend the pandemic special.
TIAA is on a mission. Why? Because 54% of Black Americans don't have enough savings to retire. So in collaboration with big-name artists like Wyclef Jean, TIAA released Paper Right. New music inspiring a new financial future. With 100% of streaming sales going to a nonprofit that teaches students how to invest. Stream Paper Right now and help close the gap.
But going from Merry Fucking Christmas to a song that to this day, whenever I hear it, like you said with Carol of the Bells, I only hear these lyrics. It is Cartman's Oh Holy Night.
This is not the first time Cartman has sang Oh Holy Night, because there
No.
was the infamous like short where
Yeah.
they're trying to teach him the lyrics with a cattle prod.
Yes.
But I
Because
think
even in the original short, I think like Stan had Cartman's voice.
Yeah.
And yeah.
well, this was like after it blew up on Comedy
okay.
Central, they did like a 2-minute short
Okay.
that they would play during commercial
I'll
breaks.
have to look that up.
It's really funny where it's like it's Mr. Garrison and he's like, all right, so since Cartman can't remember the words to Oh Holy Night, one of us is going to shock him with this cattle prod every time he gets the words wrong.
I love it.
It's very, very funny.
Yeah.
But I like this version more because of one specific line, which
Which
is,
one?
It is the day that I get presents.
Yeah.
Like,
So it's like, oh, holy night, the something, something, something.
Yeah.
It is the night of the Christmas trees and pie.
It's so funny, and I love at the one point the beautiful choir of angels are singing, and he's like, and hear the angels something, and they're
Yeah.
like voices.
Yes. We brought this up on our Carols versus Songs episode. I cannot hear this song seriously.
Which is a shame because it is
It is such a good
legitimately
song.
one of the prettiest Christmas
Yes.
carols ever, but
Yes.
happens sometimes.
All right, so next up, we have a song that honestly I skip whenever the album I'm playing the
Is this
album.
Dead, Dead, Dead?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lame song. The only note that I have really about it is that the name that it's listed as the performer, Juan Schwartz. Do you know what that is?
No.
So Juan Schwartz is actually the name that Trey Parker uses in Cannibal the Musical.
Really? It is.
It says
my God.
Juan Schwartz plays Alfred Packer.
That's awesome.
And its origins tie to Alfred Packer.
Really?
I think what I read was that at one point he was living under an alias because everyone just knew his name
Yeah.
as the guy who ate a bunch of people. So his alias was Juan Schwartz.
Oh my
so,
God.
like, it started as like a joke back then, and like still, as far as season 3 is like being referenced
That's
in subtle
amazing.
ways. But yeah, this song sucks.
Oh yeah, this song is hot garbage. God, I really wish they would make callbacks to Cannibal the Musical now. There's snow in that movie. We could cover that.
Yeah.
right? I mean, it's Christmas.
Listen, at a certain point, as someone who has a horror podcast that tries to do a Christmas horror movie every December, there ain't that many worth talking about. So
No.
if we're going to do them in October, we're going to probably hit Cannibal the Musical
Oh my
one
God,
of these years.
I cannot wait.
I mean, I don't think there's anything else we need to say about the next track. Carol of the Bells, we already kind of
Carol
covered.
of the Bells. Yeah, I love it. It's Mr. Mackey singing Carol of the Bells, and he squeezes MK into like every other lyric, and it makes it amazing. And again, just like Oh Holy Night, once you hear this version enough, this is what you're going to
Throw
hear.
Cares Away is no longer a lyric.
Exactly. Ding dong MK. Or the community version.
Yes.
So next up, we have The Lonely Jew on Christmas.
Which is from the first Christmas special.
Yes, from the first Christmas
And it's
special.
pretty much the song. The only difference is bringing in what is clearly supposed to be Bruce Springsteen
Yeah.
giving him advice. And I do love that verse. It's like, because it's great to be a
Yeah.
Jew on Christmas.
Because it's great because it's always like Matt and Trey. I mean, they did this bit multiple times. They did it in basketball.
Yeah.
When Trey's driving. I love when they throw that voice on.
It's so good. Their DVDA voice. Like, it's
Yeah.
just that rock. No, you're a man.
yeah.
Like, it's,
What makes a man? Is it the power in his hands?
it's so good.
It's so good.
Now, you were talking about I Saw Three Ships before we hit record.
I love Shelley's version of I Saw Three Ships because it is so obnoxious and you just hear this. I forget sometimes that there's an animated version of this because I'll be sitting there listening and you just hear Kyle and Stan in the background like like just laughing.
Watching this, I forgot that they're like just making faces and
Yeah.
like it's not even really that much about her singing the song.
Nope. No, and it's so funny that they included this. Yeah, and Shelley just gets pissed and smashes them with a piano. I don't know what else to really say about I Saw Three Ships.
We get into a weird cover here, which is another one that I kind of skip. Stan and Wendy doing It Happened in Sun Valley.
So yeah, I love the song.
Yeah.
I
I don't
love-
know why it's on this.
Yeah, it's not even in a Christmas episode.
No.
I can't even remember what episode it
It's
is
just
in.
a song from a musical that they covered. And I think it just
Yeah.
makes a reference to like it's kind of like I got into this conversation at some point during a 15-hour live stream, but we were talking about a few of my favorite things and like why is that like considered a Christmas classic? Like there's two lines that make any pseudo reference to
Yeah.
Christmas time. I think same thing as like It Happened in Some Valleys, just hey, they mentioned snow in it.
And I could have swore that it popped up in an episode. Yeah, so now I'm even more confused.
Yeah.
Because it's not like, oh, well, we sang this in an episode, so we're just going to throw it on the Christmas album because we don't have any other albums coming out.
Yeah.
They
it's just
literally
there.
just did it.
They just did it. But then we get in. We talked about this pretty heavily
Yeah.
already. But O
So-
Tannenbaum, Christmas Time in Hell.
Yeah,
Biggest
Adolf's
mistake
really
was
upset.
making this two separate tracks.
Yes.
This should have just been one continuous track.
Yeah, so O Tannenbaum, Adolf Hitler is sad in hell that he doesn't have a Christmas tree, so he's singing his version of O
I love their
Tannenbaum.
version of Satan so much.
Me too.
Hey,
And he-
buddy.
Hey, buddy. How's it going?
He's just
Aw.
so friendly.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't we have ourselves a little Christmas down here?
He's, hey, Adolf. Un Tannenbaum? Yes, Un Tannenbaum.
Oh, yes, O Tannenbaum. Oh, my God.
It's so
Yeah, so we
good
get O
and
Tannenbaum
stupid.
and then Satan's rendition of Christmas Time in Hell. The song is great.
It's
the
a great
animation-
example of how good Trey Parker is as like a
Yes.
musical songwriter.
Yes.
Because it is very like it is
String up the
catchy as
lights
shit.
and light up the tree.
Of all eternity.
Yes, it's so good.
Yeah,
I
that
don't know what
musical
else to
degree that
say.
he studied in college, like paying off
Oh,
in
yeah.
dividends on this one.
I would love just I want their next Broadway play to be set in hell.
I think that would be fun.
I think they could really pull that off.
I would just like. I mean, I still would like to see them do. I'm surprised, honestly, that Book of Mormon hasn't like had a film adaptation yet.
I'll take even like the way they did with Hamilton.
Yeah, just like
I
shoot me a
just
live show.
want to
Yeah,
I've never seen it.
I never gotten to see it.
Yeah. No, the next song is another one that I skip.
Yeah,
honestly,
not into it.
So as ingrained as the chef character was in the first half of South Park's run,
he's kind of forgotten
Yeah,
now.
I don't care.
Yeah, and I think the problem is also the length of the song. It's
Yeah.
like almost 5 minutes. Like it's like 4.5 minutes. And it's What the Hell Child Is This? Which like I love What Child Is This?
Yeah.
I love the idea of like
Yeah.
what it is. I don't need it for 4.5 minutes.
No.
Like if you're only giving me Ding Dong Umke for under a minute, this could absolutely be 90 seconds.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, basically, they were like, we've got Isaac Hayes.
Let's do it.
We want him to sing a full song.
But like that's the thing. Like I do love like the Chef Aid album where you let him do like full length versions of
Yeah.
like Chocolate Salty Balls and stuff like that. But like this was just like so unnecessary.
You could take the character. I don't care.
That's not even really about the character. I just love that album.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love that because that has like one of my favorite Rancid songs on it. It's got a
Okay.
great Devo song. Like
Yeah.
that is a very good album. But then we get I made a quick reference to it. It's over in 25 seconds or something. But Santa Claus is on his way.
Santa Claus is on his way.
Like it's so.
With all the goodies on his sleigh.
And I'll say
Howdy
howdy
ho.
ho. As much as I love the 28 seconds of that, my favorite song on the whole album is Eric Cartman's Swiss Colony Beef Log.
Really?
I don't know why. It was one of those songs where I was like driving around listening to Christmas music, and I always just put together like a playlist. I still have my iPod. I'll put together like 2,000 Christmas songs, and it's just shuffled the whole like November to December. I'm just rocking these songs on shuffle. And it probably was like a year or two after I'd bought in this album. But it was one of those nights where you're driving and the song comes on and you're like, this is pretty funny.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's a pretty funny song. You're like, the stockings on around. like it's like little stuff like that. But it's actually the big buildup when he gets the beef log from his grandma.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, grandma. And like, it just kicks into this like 70s rock, arena rock anthem. It's just like, Swiss Colony Beef. It's like every time, like I am like singing along, fist pumping in the air. I don't even care about Swiss Colony Beef Logs at all. But for 2 minutes, I'm just
It's
like
the greatest thing in the world.
With balls of Swiss Colony. It is a fucking, like if I was in a band and we were doing a Christmas set, I'd be like, we're doing Swiss Colony.
Swiss Colony.
We're
Beef Log.
doing this
All
song.
right, Matt. So we're gonna say it here. If you and I ever start a band,
Swiss Colony
Swiss
Beef Log.
Colony Beef
That'll
Log.
happen.
It's honestly a song that I forget exists.
I don't know why the song hits me the way I think it's that last part where it just starts to rock out. But there is like really funny lyrics in there where it's,
I need to go back and start incorporating the whole album
Oh my
into
God,
my seasonal
it's-
listening.
I
Because
think
what
that song will
happens-
start to grow on you real
I think
quick.
so too. I think what happens is I've pick and chosen the songs off
The songs
of
that
this
you're going to
album
listen
that
to.
I put.
And that's the thing. I take good or bad, I put it all on the iPod.
Yeah. Next, we have a 40-second rendition from the South Park Children's Choir, "Hark the Herald Angels Sing."
So this is the downside of me listening to like all of the music shuffled. If you had given me $100 and said, tell me where the tracks fall on this, I would have thought for sure this was the closer of the album.
Yeah.
It just feels like it would make sense as like a close. I thought that this was like, I forgot that the episode ends with the announcer fighting a frizzy.
Yeah.
Because I thought for sure it ended with an animated version of the kids singing Hark the Herald
Okay. I
Angels
mean,
Sing.
the album closer is so ingrained in me.
Yeah.
that I
Oh, it's a
never
beautiful,
thought of it.
and
Oh
we'll
my
get
God.
into that. But yeah.
Then we have Dreidel, Dreidel, Dreidel.
But yeah, it's fine.
I
It's
love
great.
Dreidel, Dreidel, Dreidel. I feel like, so I still feel like even at this time, like Kyle's dad singing about Courtney Cox, even when this episode came out, when Friends was at like peak popularity, was Courtney Cox really the one that people were going to?
No,
Like,
that's what makes Randy just a little bit different than the rest of
well,
the
not
world.
Randy. Randy's Stan's dad.
Oh,
This was,
yes, you're right. Sorry,
Gerald.
Gerald.
Yeah.
Courtney Cox is great.
Courtney Cox is great, but I'm like, out of all the people, like, Courtney Cox, I love you. You're so hot on that show. It's like, that's what, like, that's what we're going for. I mean, I don't know.
I think just Jennifer Aniston wouldn't work.
Yeah.
It's too many syllables.
Too many syllables, but did we have to stick with the friends? I
Why
don't
not?
know.
Why
Yeah,
not?
whatever.
Do you think
I'm
that
not
Gerald's
making
watching
millions of
anything
dollars
bigger than Friends?
Friends.
I feel like Gerald is the guy who's watching the most popular thing in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but yeah, Dreidel happens, and then we get
big
in
one.
the big one.
A song that, like, when I first discovered the album, I had heard the censored version. where it's Kenny fucking singing with his mouth covered.
Yeah.
And then I stumbled across the uncensored
Wait,
version.
there's an uncensored version?
Oh, there is an uncensored version.
I was like, okay, I know what he's singing.
Okay,
but
yeah, please look. There is a full-blown uncensored version.
I'll have to pull that up. I was one of those kids. There was thousands of websites for this, but it was like translating what Kenny says.
Yeah.
and so like at a certain point after you would like read and watch and read and watch and read and watch, like you got pretty good at being able to translate what Kenny was singing.
Yeah.
So like I remember the first time I heard this, I'm like, oh Jesus. Like,
And it's bad.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I've said some of the lines before we started recording, but I don't even want to be on record.
I don't want to put it on the record.
But
it's really funny.
It
It's
is.
so offensive that it's funny.
Yeah. Highly recommend. Like,
It's
listen.
the passion in which he sings it under the muffle, because
Yeah.
it's like I know like
You can't.
well it's like I forget what the line is that Mr. Hankey says leading into it, but it's like da, 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 and he's like like it's so like he's so excited. Like Kenny has always been my favorite South Park
Yeah.
kid, just because I love that he is just the shittiest kid, and he's
Yeah.
so passionate about
Yep.
being the shittiest kid.
And so this was the song that the first time I heard it, like there was like a pit in my stomach where I'm like, I should not be listening.
That
to
and
this.
I feel that whenever I hear this song.
Yeah.
Still, like there is like maybe 3 songs, Christmas songs, that are still on my like iPod list of Christmas music that I always feel a little
Horrible.
like because now I used to love Bob Rivers' Twist at Christmas,
Yeah.
and now a lot of those songs I'm like,
Yeah, I don't know if we've gotten into it in the past. I grew up Catholic. I went to Catholic school for 9 years.
All right.
I know you
I was just very religious.
Yeah.
Went to church every Sunday, got involved in the youth group and like every Bible study.
Yeah. I mean, so we've both
There's certain sacred.
Yeah,
it's
we've
like,
both
oh.
been there. We've been in and out. Like some years I feel like I'm more involved, some years I'm not. There's still that like I hear this and I'm like, even if I'm not as ingrained in my belief as I was, bruh, like just in case, maybe I should hit the skip button.
let's quickly pass over the We Three Kings, which is fine. It's like
I
super
don't even
forgettable.
remember the We Three Kings.
It's the guy who runs the shitty
Shitty Walk,
Shitty
Airlines.
Yeah.
Can't take order.
He sings We Three Kings.
Yeah.
I think that's him. Maybe
Mr.
not.
Jose.
Yeah, I don't remember who
I
Mr.
don't-
Jose is.
Yeah, I don't remember. I do not remember this song at
It's
all.
very short and it's over really quick. But Hark the Herald Angels Sing. Or sorry,
No.
not that. Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas.
which came up on I think multiple episodes before
Yeah.
as my Did You Cry moment. 100% is
So
Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas.
I forgot that they also used the song to pay tribute to Mary Kay Bergman,
Yeah.
who had committed suicide after they had recorded the album, but before they had animated the episode. By, they're singing the song, and it feels weird if you don't know the context, but all of a sudden it just shows this montage of every character she ever voiced.
Yeah.
And it's a really sweet moment.
Yeah.
Where there's certain songs that are just always going to be beautiful. And like, it doesn't matter who's singing Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. It's always a beautiful song.
There's a moment in the song. So the song starts off with Mr. Hankey closing the album. He's like, hey, that's about the end of our Christmas album. So I'll leave you with this. And he starts singing Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, does the first little bit, and then all the kids come in.
And the here we
Oh my
are
God,
as
dude.
in
I get
olden days.
absolute chills and I start tearing up. And because it goes back to this being a warm blanket show.
Yeah.
Like this show has always been there for me. It always will be there for me. And the fact that even though this was only season 2, this is
Season
only
three.
Season 3, yeah.
Yeah.
This is only season 3. They've only been out for 3 years. I watch it now or I listen to it now and I'm like, yeah, dude, through the years, like you guys have kind of been there for me.
And that's what we've talked about before with this specific song is like, it's a pretty song. It's a really nice song, but it's that through the years portion of the song
Yeah.
where it's also goes into this remembrance of people who aren't there this year.
Yeah.
And I think that that's definitely a big piece of what Christmas, like, I'm friends with people who will do everything in their power to avoid crying. They don't like it. They feel like their emotions are being manipulated in a way that their body does not, like they feel like they've lost control of their body.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm like, hell yeah, let's lean into that.
Yeah.
Like, come on, manipulate the shit out of me.
And I might warn people. I'll be like, this is gonna make me cry. Just a heads up.
Yeah. Oh, literally said that when I was about to watch Soul. I was like, let's grab the box of tissues now, just in case.
Yeah.
But I'm probably going to need them. I think that there's something about this song that's really grown on me over. I remember that it was kind of a nothing song to me. Like, it was a song. It was fine, whatever.
Yeah.
But it was after my aunt died. Every time I hear this song, because she died so close to Christmas, every time I hear this song, I think of the, like, for the years we'll all be together as long as the fates allow.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what a great line. And it really just sums it up. And it's, bringing it even back to Emmett Otter, your favorite thing that we've ever talked about. But that song, Where the River Meets the Sea, even having this song that's literally not a Christmas song, but it's a song of remembrance of people who aren't here this year. Mm-hmm. I think that that's an important part of Christmas. And if people don't...
Because I think NDOT brought it up on that episode.
Yeah, like if you don't take the time to remember those people who made Christmas great all of those years past. I think that what you and I love about doing this show and what we hope is the message that we get out to the show, because it's, to me, the biggest thing for the holidays is like my desire to make Christmas great for me gets smaller every year, and my desire to make Christmas great for everyone that I interact with becomes much, much bigger.
And that's, I brought that up on our post-Christmas episode, is it's been so ingrained in me to bring everyone else up. Like, I want to get you what you want. I know it's not all about the gifts, but
it's
that's what I want.
pretty nice.
Yeah. I want to deliver.
Damn it.
On my end.
I always feel my heart grow whenever anyone's like, hey, I saw this and thought of you.
Yeah.
Like, it's always just like, but there's nothing that gets me more joy than like giving someone a gift and seeing the excitement when they open it and feeling like this person gets me.
And bonus points if I make you cry when I give you
Oh my God, if I can. This year, one of the things that I did this year was for my whole family, all 5 parents and 3 siblings.
Yeah.
As well as a gift, I just gave them a handwritten note about how important they are in my life.
Oh, man.
But I was like, please don't open this in front of me. Like, I don't want to watch you awkwardly read it. But then, like, getting like the text messages. Like, my brother texted me, he was like, you prick, you made me cry. But I was like, you know what? Like, there's something that I want to... I'd rather be known as the guy who said I love you too much than the guy who never says it.
Exactly.
So it's like, yeah, I'm going to make sure I have every opportunity to let you know that you are important and that I love you and I'm happy you're in my life.
Well, that's the thing. Like, normalize telling your friends that you love them.
Yeah, for sure. Because it's, I mean, you and I are both dealing with, in our own ways, a really awesome wrestler passed away super unexpectedly. And it has been a difficult time on social media with the outpouring of love. And the one that killed me was reading Eric Rowan saying that every time he got out of the truck, he always said goodbye forever. Which, is like a kind of sarcastic thing. But I remember that, my friend Jonathan, every phone call that he ends, he always says, I love you. Yeah. And he says, I never know if this is the last time I'll talk to you. So I want to make sure that that's the last thing you hear from me if it is. So it's like,
God, dude.
It's like, that's great shit. That's great shit. Going. Yeah. All right. We'll wrap this up.
But that was rough. Yeah, no, but yeah. Both of us being huge wrestling fans and
just such a young talent.
Passing away recently. Back to like have yourself a merry little Christmas and what you were talking about. If anything, this year can attest to that.
Yeah.
Like Christmas still happened.
Yeah, it happened. It may have not been the Christmas that we all dream. And the way I keep saying it to people is it was a really nice Christmas, but I never want to have it like this again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's things that I'll definitely like to incorporate of like the more chilled, laid back, but like I want the big crazy parties.
Yeah.
I want the like crowd of people just hugging and loving on each other.
Yeah, and we brought that up during the episode I loved the way my Christmas went. I want my season around Christmas back.
Yeah. No,
which I didn't get this year.
Yeah, that December 1st to December 23rd is going to be fucking buck wild in 2021.
Oh my God, it's going to be crazy. But people said that about this year too. They were like,
That's true.
this is on a Friday, this is on a Friday, this is on a Saturday.
Yeah. Nah, I mean, I think that we should reset the calendar in general. Like, we should just be like, listen,
Yeah.
everything, like, we're just going to redo it so that Halloween lands on a Friday next year as well. The Christmas,
Yeah.
we missed our opportunity. We need
Which
to
I'm fine with because I was getting surgery on Halloween. So.
We need to set everything right and get those back.
We'll just start over. You know what? Next year, this year didn't happen. Next year is 2020.
Yeah. No, I think, we do I think all those holidays land on a Saturday, which is still pretty good. I'm not going to complain, but man, Friday was perfect. You get Halloween, then 2 days off?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Anyone out there listening right now, I hate to sound super negative, but continue to take things seriously because, hey, when that ball drops on January 1st, not everything goes back to normal. So let's stop pretending. That's the one thing driving me up a wall is people like, this year's almost over.
Yeah, I'm very optimistic that maybe by like midsummer it'll be like, okay, we can kind of start to like really get. But like, hey, you know what? January to April is like a shit show of nothing that I'm excited about anyway.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, hey, let's take these 4 months, stay inside, be chill, get our vaccines, and then hopefully as like it gets nice out in May, it'll be safe. The world won't be trying to kill us anymore.
I mean, there are like specifically outside of our country, they're planning like huge music festivals.
Yeah.
Now, and I'm like,
Yeah. That's the thing. I'm not. It's so weird because like, I'm like, I don't see myself going to a music festival anytime soon. But the flip side is like, man, but if there's a convention in like June or July, I need it.
that's the thing is I feel terrible. Because I sat here and there was what was the horror convention that like still happened?
I don't remember. It was in Florida. I'm pretty sure, but
but people lost their shit, and I'm sitting here like I would never do that.
Yeah,
and I'm like I might do that.
Well, that's it. Like it was so funny because I was talking to Joe from Fright School, and I was like, man, it sucked not seeing you this year. I'm being cautiously optimistic that maybe San Diego Comic-Con can happen next summer in like a smaller capacity. Because I don't think, like, that's the thing is, like, I think I could handle in, like, August, I could handle, like, a Monster Mania in Maryland. You know what I mean? Like,
okay, yeah, I can get behind that.
But, like, I don't think that you could do the San Diego Comic-Con of, like, tens of thousands of people from all over the world smashed into, like, one tiny building.
Yeah.
But, like, maybe you could do, like, a smaller version.
Yeah. Oh, my God, but it would be, like...
Because I'd be there as a vendor. So
would
it's like
still
I'm
sell out
separated
in
from everybody.
absolute seconds.
Oh, for sure. But even tighter because it'd be like, all right, we're only allowing 500 lucky fans.
It's so sad to me because I can't picture post-COVID life.
No, it's really...
I can't picture it anymore.
It's like one of those things where it's like, I can't picture it, but I know that I don't want this for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, okay, we have to get past this eventually because, like, Homeboy was fine not traveling for a year and, like, kind of staying put.
Yeah.
But, like, I'm getting real antsy and, like, the seasonal depression is starting to take over and, like, a lot of bad stuff's happening mentally. And we need to, like, get those vaccinations.
And that was the thing,
there.
because I have a few friends who live in different areas who judged me because I still go out regularly. Not regularly. I mean, there are still regulations around here. But in my head, I was like, well, what's going to kill me first? Like, staying inside and being depressed or going out and getting COVID.
And
I mean, you need a balance.
And that's I go out, but I'm smart about it. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, I'm not going to go to a party with like 50 people.
Yeah.
But I'll go and sit on a friend's couch, like a good distance from that friend and like talk.
And record a Christmas podcast.
And record multiple episodes of a Christmas podcast. You know what? Merry Christmas, Dylan.
Merry Christmas, Matt.
Oh, whoa, oh, now we won't stop till the big ball drops on New Year's. Happy holiday, have a great holiday, have a merry happy holiday.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network. You're listening to the Geekscape Network.